Kia ora, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. Today, myself and Otis Murray will be going over a few things from the Plunket Shield, the New Zealand versus Australia series, and then the White Ferns versus England tour, and finally, Otis will be covering a special little segment at the end of the podcast. So, how are you doing today, Otis?
Yo, I'm actually doing all right. Yourself, Vincent?
That's good. Yeah, I'm good too, thank you. So we'll start with the Plunket Shield. So Northern Districts are currently on top and are looking like they're probably going to win their first title in quite a few years. So have you got any thoughts on the tournament so far, or the shield, Plunket Shield so far? It is.
Well, I mean, there's always a chance for an upset.
Yeah,
There's still quite a few people can win it. I think Otago can still win it. Um,
yeah. I think
so
mathematically they
it's
can.
still it's still all up for grabs, but
Yeah,
um, they would need quite a lot of draws in the other games.
yeah,
But it's still mathematically possible.
yeah,
I see the only two main challenges now are the Firebirds and Northern Districts. I mean, Central Stags might have an outside chance, but I mean
yeah,
they're still 22 behind Northern Districts. They're
yeah.
gonna
So
need they're probably gonna need to win twice with all their bonus points and hope
yeah,
Northern Districts don't win at all.
yeah,
But I mean, it's been a pretty good season overall so far. I
yeah,
mean, Auckland kind of just choked their last game.
yeah,
Uh, they've ended up losing, which
yeah.
shouldn't have really been the case.
No,
Um, However, I mean, it was a pretty good round in the Shield, I must
yeah.
say.
So now there's been a couple of good performances from a couple of players. So we've got Nick Kelly leading the way with the bat, with Joe Carter just close behind him. And then in the bowling department, you got Jacob Duffy and Nathan Smith both performing very well with the ball. So how do you feel about those four players and their performances this season, particularly?
Well, I mean, I'm going to start off with Jacob Duffy. He's the leading
Hmm.
wicket taker in the Plunket
Yeah.
Shield. He has been absolutely on fire this season,
Mm.
like he has been for every other season that he's
Yeah.
played for the
Yeah.
Volts. Um, I mean, he should have probably been selected for the Black Caps the other day. However,
Yeah.
I mean, push comes to shove, sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's been a lot of different people saying that he should or should not
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
selected. However,
Hmm.
Nathan Smith, he plays that very similar role to Scott Kirkline. He
Yeah.
can bat a little bit, and he can bowl, but coming in second with just one wicket behind Jacob Duffy in the
Yeah.
bowling cards for the whole of the Plunket Shield. I
Hmm.
mean, he's looking on fire so far,
Yeah.
and he needs to keep going.
Yeah.
With the batting, Nick Kelly's been up there for the whole season. I
Yeah.
mean, he's just kept rolling on and on and on, and
Yeah.
he's been doing really well
Hmm.
for the Firebirds.
Yep.
But I mean, Joe Carter, he's kind of had a little bit of a drop off the last few weeks. However, he's still up there. I think
Yeah.
if he could finish the season off well, uh, Indy probably going to win the title then.
Yeah. So I think we can both agree that Indy are probably in the pole position to take out the title on that one, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean they've got Canterbury
Yeah.
this next game coming up, which they should easily win.
Yeah.
However, the Firebirds will need to take down the Volts, and if that happens, it's a straight shootout between the Northern Districts and the Firebirds then,
Yeah.
which could be a really interesting game. I mean, Northern Districts have home field advantage for that game.
Oh yeah.
However, I think it's all going to come down to that game in the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a draw, Northern Districts win. If it's a
Yeah.
win for them, they win. However, the Firebirds could take it.
Yeah. And I suppose it depends also who gets their black caps back. If Northern were to get all their black caps back, well then I think that would be quite help. That could either be quite helpful or quite detrimental to their end of season success, with players that maybe have performed well in the season not getting their opportunity if some of those black caps were to become available um, after the New Zealand series that has just recently occurred. Don't you think?
I mean, Northern Districts now have Neil Wagner. He can dig
Yeah.
in for them. He's
Hmm.
going to do a great job. I mean, he played very well for Otago when he played in the Shield quite a lot down there
Hmm.
until NZC changed the schedule up now, and he hasn't really played much for Northern Districts.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still bowled really well.
Hmm.
I mean, he's just retired from international cricket, so next season I expect him. If he doesn't retire, he's going to be digging in the short balls, and I think he's
Yeah.
going to be a real challenge
Hmm.
for the batsmen.
Mm.
However, the Firebirds, I mean, have Blundell coming back. However, he's on a little bit of a form slump.
Yeah.
They haven't had many people play for them in the Black Caps. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got Ben Sears back now.
Yeah.
He was
And
absolutely brilliant
mhm.
on debut. However, they haven't had many Black Caps.
No, they got Ruction
But
back
I
as
mean,
well.
the other teams that could, oh yeah, Ratchin. I mean, the other teams, Canterbury might benefit a little bit.
Yeah.
Auckland won't really benefit. I mean, not
Yeah.
many teams are going to benefit apart from
Yeah.
the Stags, Canterbury, uh, and Northern Districts too
Yeah.
much. So it's kind of those three teams gaining
Yeah.
all their
Yeah.
players, while the Volts, the Firebirds, and the Aces kind of don't gain much, and they
Yeah.
might lose a little bit
Hmm.
more uh, with their players not being as good as that level
Hmm.
for Black Caps level. However,
Yeah.
they could still put up a good fight, and they could still win.
Yeah. Yeah. So now moving on, talking about the Black Caps, we'll move on to the New Zealand versus Australia series. So just coming off that unfortunate last day yesterday where Alex Carey and Mitchell Marsh took Australia over the line in the end with Pat Cummins knock at the end of the innings for the Australians to get them that 3-wicket win. When it looks like New Zealand were probably going to finally get their first win over Australia in over 30 years. I mean, Otis, when do you think New Zealand actually could beat Australia on home soil? I mean, it's been 31 years. How many more years are we actually going to have to wait?
Well, I mean, you look at Australia. I don't think that they're promoting too many of their young stars
No.
quite yet.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the Black Caps and
Mm.
Australia. I think Australia they still want to play the experience game.
Hmm.
They've still got the same bowling lineup that they had going back to the 2015 World Cup and beyond.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, you've seen New Zealand experiment a lot more with the youth.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
over these past few
Yeah.
years. I mean,
Hmm.
Glenn Phillips has came in
Yeah.
into the test team. He's a new selection. He's done
Yeah.
very well with his off spin.
Hmm.
I mean, we also saw how Ben Sears could do
Yeah.
on debut
Yeah. Yeah.
for the Black Caps.
Yeah.
But you know. They've got some good players over there. I mean, Matt Henry did very well this
Yes.
series. I mean, but the real question is, when is the next series going to be?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
Australia tour New Zealand again?
Yeah.
That that could take another few years. That could take
Yeah.
another 6, 7 years to
Yeah.
happen. And if we're really going to have to wait that long, Australia are already going to be able to promote their new players, and they're
Yeah.
already going to have a new cycle of
Mm.
fast bowlers and batsmen.
Yeah.
So it's not really going to benefit New Zealand in the
No.
long run.
Um, And then I think there's been a few comments from Tim Sally himself actually, even saying, he might not be captain in the next tour because it's to Asia, and we really only are going to play two paces there, and Matt Henry probably has to be a lock-in now. And the question is, would someone like Will O'Rourke or Ben Sears even beat Sally out for that second seaming spot? So really two questions here. Do you think Southey's the best option as captain, and who could be a potential replacement for Southey if he was to not be selected as captain?
Yeah, I mean it's a real tough one. I mean the obvious choice that it comes out to be the be the second pace bowler
Mm.
apart from Matt Henry and the New Zealand lineup comes out to be probably someone who's not had much experience.
Mm.
I mean Will O'Rourke's done well.
Yeah.
He's picked up a little bit of an injury right now though. I
Hmm.
mean Kergeline's not going to be back for a while.
Yeah.
I mean CS has done very well.
Yeah.
I mean, but you've seen Scott Kergeline, he's done all right. I mean, he can pick up the bat a little bit, and
Yeah,
that's maybe what they want in the subcontinent. That's maybe
yeah,
what they want in Asia,
yeah,
and that might have to do.
yeah,
I mean, Trent Bolt's not going to come back
no,
just to play a test match in Asia. I
yeah,
mean, he's still touring the world doing T20s.
yeah,
So I mean, the Black Caps don't have much choices to who would be their second fast bowler
yeah,
in Asia.
yeah. If Sally was to let go of the captaincy, who could you see maybe replacing him in that role? Someone like maybe Daryl Mitchell has been touted, or even the likes of Glenn Phillips or Tom Latham have been a couple of other options thrown around as potential replacements.
Well, Tom Latham is the standout pick. I mean, he's the vice captain of the current team.
Yeah.
He's done very well when he was captain. New Zealand have a pretty
Yeah.
good record when
Mm.
he's been the captain. He looks like someone that could step up. I mean, Daryl Mitchell, he's still going to be there for a while. He could be captain for the next 6, 7 years, and he could pick up the role of Test captain. Uh, but there's also Glenn Phillips there, who you've
Yeah.
also mentioned. He's
Mm.
he's a more new person to the team. I
Yeah.
mean, he hasn't had much captaincy experience. I mean, I think he may have only captained the Aces maybe once or twice
Mhm.
when he was up in Auckland, and
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
hasn't captained Otago.
Mm.
So that would be one. He would maybe not be the first choice for me because of his lack of
Yeah.
experience.
Mm.
But I mean, you could also go to Mitchell Santner. I mean, he's led New Zealand very well in the T20
Mm.
space. And I
Yeah.
mean, he could prove it on the test card and maybe secure his place in the team for the long run. But
Yeah.
I mean, if New Zealand were really desperate, they would maybe have to ask Kane to come back. However, I don't think he
Mm.
would. I don't
Yeah.
think he would want the role.
Yeah. So yeah, now we've talked about Scott Kugelheim a bit. So if he only picked up, I think, 2 or 3 wickets across the whole series and only bowled, I think, 15 overs in Christchurch, which across the 2 innings in Christchurch. So if New Zealand had selected someone else, who do you think that could have been? You know, you've got the likes of Nathan Smith, Jacob Duffy, or Mitchell Satner. Who do you think would have been a potential to be in there for Kugelheim in that number 8 position?
Well, I think we saw that Nathan Lyon still did all right in the Hagley Test. I mean, he
Yeah,
didn't bowl as much as he did in the Basin Test. However,
yeah,
he still bowled well. I
yeah,
mean, Mitchell Satner could have been an argument
yeah, yeah.
as he turns the ball well
Mm,
in New Zealand conditions, and
mm,
if it went to day 5 even, he could have been out there with Glenn Phillips and Ruchin Ravindra
mm,
holding up an end,
yeah,
trying to get Australia out in the dying
yeah,
moments. Uh, he could have been the right selection. I mean, the pitch did flatten out uh,
yeah,
pretty quickly.
mm,
I mean, New Zealand were only 3 wickets short,
yeah,
but Scott Kugelheim probably wasn't the right option if they were only going to bowl him not for single-digit overs in the whole match.
yeah,
I mean, they could have gone to Jacob Duffy, who can still swing the ball quite a bit with the old ball, or they
yeah,
could have gone to Nathan Smith, who can take up that sort of Kugelheim role in the
yeah, yeah,
batting order too.
mm,
I mean, Kugelheim hasn't had the best first class numbers in a while,
yeah,
and it kind of shows you how much they value some of these players who are doing well in the Plunket Shield by not
mm,
selecting them, and
yeah,
it really raises concerns of how NZC are actually picking our top grade cricketers.
yeah, yeah. So moving on, we've got the White Ferns versus England series, and then the New Zealand A versus England A series starting up this month. And the White Ferns have named a pretty standard squad with no real new names in the squad. I mean, you've got the return of Lee Casbrook after once again another dominant performance for the White Fern for Wellington in the Halle Johnson Shield and Super Smash. And then you've got Rosemary Meir also returned to the side following her good form for the Central Hinds as well in both those competitions. But is there anyone in particular in the White Fern squad, Otis, that you think is deserved of their position or retention?
Well, I mean, it's a stock standard White Ferns squad. I mean,
Yeah.
Lee Kasprick has came in there, but that could be argued to keep her out with Eden Carson only playing the first three
Mm,
T20s and Lee Kasprick only playing the fourth and fifth.
yeah.
I mean, Georgia Plummer only comes in for the one days after showing a little bit of good form in the Super Smash. Uh, However, it looks pretty normal, I
Mm,
must say. Um, I mean, Auckland have their players in there. I mean,
mm,
it'll be I mean, it's going to be a while until we see uh maybe see Haley Jensen back. I mean, she's captaining the New Zealand A squad.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, we haven't seen her in a White Fern squad and when she after she got injured. However,
Yeah.
this is their comeback,
Mm,
and I think next series she'll probably be involved in the squad a little
yeah.
bit more.
And then talking about those New Zealand A sides, you've got quite a few young players in those squads with the likes of Prue Cadden and Flora Devonshire, Brie Erling, all coming into the side off the back of their performances in the Super Smash and for that T20 side. And then you've also got the youngsters like Jess Simmons, Cadden again, Nancy Patel, and Emma Black in that one day squad. So I mean, someone like Emma Black's been quite a standout for the Otago girls this season, I think, and I think she's deserved her spot, which I'm sure you'll agree on, Otis.
Yeah, I mean Emma Black's bowled
Mm,
very well
yeah.
this summer. I mean, I've got to watch her play quite a few times,
Mm,
and it's been a joy to watch. I mean,
mm,
she bowls nice line and length. I
yeah.
mean, she can bowl quite a few overs on the trot. I think she bowled 8 on the trot in one of the games
Mm,
uh, in the HBJ once this season. I think she took around 5 wickets in that spell. Uh,
mm,
I mean, she's been supported by a great group of players. I mean, Otago's won the HPJ.
yeah.
They've came through, and we've seen that the Sparks have been rewarded in this New
Yes.
Zealand A squad
Yeah.
selection. And they've got quite a few players in there as long as they're along with their coach Craig Cumming,
Mm,
also coaching. I'm pretty sure the one day side.
yeah, I think so.
Um, which is very good for them. I
Yeah.
mean, but the T20 side looks a little bit stock standard for a New Zealand A side. I mean, Bernadine Bazanhout is playing one game to gain some match fitness.
Yeah.
But I mean, it looks pretty normal.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, they could have, but I mean, the stats don't lie from your recent article.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably could have selected some better players. However,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the better sides that they could have picked.
Yeah. Um, and now we'll finish off with your little segment here at the end, Otis. So if you want to tell the viewers about an upcoming tournament and yeah, maybe they can and how we'll provide some information about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, the junior secondary school boys tournament's coming up for the year 9 and 10 lads. To my knowledge, this is the last edition of this tournament, which is pretty sad because
Mm,
it's produced some of the best cricketers that has actually been in this country. I
mm,
mean, Rachin Ravindra has gone through it before, and look where he's at now.
yeah.
I mean, the teams participating this year are Auckland Grammar, Hamilton Boys, Whanganui Collegiate, Wellington College, Christchurch Boys, and Waitaki Boys. I mean, I've had my own experiences in this tournament this past year. I mean, I lost in the Otago finals of Waitaki Boys.
Mhm,
But I mean, it's a fun tournament to play, and it looks like it'll be a good series.
mm,
I mean, last year's performances from some of the teams, it was pretty stock standard with the two teams that have qualified again at the top of Auckland Grammar and Wellington College. Um,
mhm,
I mean, I think the wild card here is actually going to be Waitaki Boys. They have a
mhm,
very strong fielding side, and I think that they could win it for their own school. Maybe this is their first edition in the tournament. If they
mm,
bring it home, they'll make Otago proud. Let's just say.
yeah. So you'll have a preview out later this week as well. Just check out our website, everyone, and you can have a read of Otis's write-up on the tournament. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to Otis again for joining me to go over our what we've covered today. And we hope to see you in the next one.